and I'll just kind of rattle these players off, gents, and then we can talk about whoever you want to talk about from that tier. But are you boys? Whomever?
I don't know.
I don't know. Just whatever floats your boat on the whom versus who.
It's actually whom.
It's whomt. It's with a T on the end, as a matter of fact.
Is that a thing?
No, it's not. No, it's
Should
not.
be.
It should be. That feels
Whomtever.
better.
Could be.
Whomtever. That's some Kentucky drawl, some Kentucky slang right there.
It's the IDP show, now you know.
What's up, you diehards, you degenerates, you lovers of defensive football? Welcome to the IDP show. I am your host, Josh Raymer, joined in the Sode Shack tonight, Adam Markham, Bobby Reynolds, for a milestone episode, boys. It is episode 400 in the podcast feed. Very happy to be joined by you fine gentlemen to celebrate this historic occasion.
That was pretty special what you done there.
I was working on that today as I was walking down to the mailbox, Addy.
He didn't tell us that, and I got a little choked up.
You're also gone off them margs, Addy.
Sure, I am. Just 32 ounces of margarita.
A to-go marg, if you want to know how things are going in Kentucky.
We can still do that. So that's the best thing about the coronavirus, man. The to-go margaritas and to-go drinks. So.
Yes.
It was kind of a win, honestly, when you think about it. It
was-
really was.
The silver lining, we do have the to-go margs, Bobo.
I was taken back by the intro as well. You know, we've been sitting here in these chairs for how many episodes now? For us,
Probably
300 plus.
300, I would say.
Wow,
Close to it.
it's also good to know that you got a good crew of guys there linking arms with you to throw another 100 episodes in with you.
I was going to say, I did the breakdown. It was kind of interesting to see. We have had several other podcasts in our feed. John Macri, probably the number one, 50 episodes of
Love
Big
John.
Nickel IDP podcast.
Miss John.
We had 11 episodes of DF Triple S with you and Johnny. We had
Shout out.
15 episodes of the Injury Report with Dr. Leezus.
Uh-huh.
The Big Game Theory podcast. Shout out Evan Ronda. 12 episodes of that.
Miss you.
3 episodes, yes we do, of IDP Bets and the IDP Trade Show. And then shout out Sigmund Bloom, 4 episodes of the IDP Blitz for 98 other episodes besides the big 3 IDP podcasts / the IDP show.
It would be really interesting to know how many people don't know where that intro came from. You know, how
Yeah,
many people
yeah.
that listen now are probably like, what is he doing?
Came
What's
on,
the normal
yeah.
intro?
Yeah, since it switched over to the IDP show intro.
It'd be fun to know.
A lot of the youngins out there probably don't know about that.
Maybe we could ask AI. AI, find that out for us.
Yeah, we'll have to reach out to Jackson and Evan.
Yes.
See if they knew about
Can
Big
you
3
guys
IDP.
program?
Yeah, and then can you program too?
Yeah, although
We don't know about Big 3
Yeah,
IDP, but
the-
we can program.
you're wanting to get the Gen Z in our audience to see if they recognize
That's
the
it.
old intro.
Yeah, they don't. They don't.
Wow.
Yeah, we've talked about it before. This podcast sprang from a podcast about our league, the XFFL. That's why we still love to talk RSO and do the rookie draft recap.
Got our auction Saturday.
Yeah.
That's right. It's on Sunday.
Sunday.
It's the Mars.
Show up on Saturday, though. That would be good for all of us.
Father's Day? All right.
Father's Day. And what better
Cool.
treat
Wow.
for us fathers? You can
Very cool.
can
We should have golfed.
excuse it
instead.
away.
I thought about bringing the little old pod table, and we could have huddled around the
Oh, man.
the corner of the room over there.
Yes,
Yeah.
we used to pod, if you're watching on YouTube, that side of the shed.
Yeah.
Up against that wall, no heaters in the winter. It would get very cold. We have little foot heaters just cranking out here.
Why did we not have the table in the middle of the room?
I don't know.
What was going on out here?
I don't know. I don't know what was in the middle of the room.
We just didn't have the funds yet.
Oh, sure.
It was just a
Yeah.
small little operation.
Scrappy operation.
It was, man.
It really was.
Yeah.
I mean, we weren't making we were making just money off ad revenue.
I was our best supporter there
And
for
we,
a while.
you know, and it took a long time. You really were.
We paid
thank
out
you
of
for that.
pocket to get like a $90 mixer.
Yeah.
And we had like $25 microphones, I
Yeah,
think.
this was a huge purchase for us.
Oh, yes,
This was like a
yes.
big deal. This was like what, 400?
It was like
500?
$400 or $500.
Yeah, so that's a big deal.
We
That
had
was
the-
early on.
We had the mic arms
We
there
did.
for a while.
We did.
Yeah.
I
We
loved
had
the arms.
We had this table specially built for the show.
Yeah.
We've been through several different kind of podcast table iterations.
But then beautiful things like John Macri's wife hand painted
Yes,
some
these
Funko Pops.
Funko Pops
in
are on
our
the table.
likeness here.
The webcam used to be above the door.
Yeah, I hated that.
Again, if you're watching on YouTube, right above where this camera is the door frame, and we used to just jam it up in there
Yeah.
and get like a bird's eye view of the shed.
Look-
So we've
looking-
come a long way.
Looking back real quick, can you remember like one favorite episode?
God, no. Too many.
I remember our worst episode ever.
Okay.
That's when we had our friends.
Yes, I had our friends on for our playoff draft, and we did like a 5 guys French fries taste test.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That was awful. It was the worst episode. We were also we had no idea what we were doing. We didn't know how to fill a January with podcast content at that point.
The one with our wives didn't do great.
Yeah.
I remember that one.
They gave it their all, but
Didn't have the heart to tell them that, though. The
Yeah.
numbers were not.
Sexiest
numbers,
man in the
numbers were
NFL.
not great.
No.
Our first guest was Mike Wohlert. Shortly after that was Johnny the Greek.
Yeah. Very
Within
nice.
our first dozen episodes, we had both those gentlemen on, and
As
now
it should
they work
be.
with us.
That's
So
awesome.
Also in the
Pretty
past
cool.
has been during like hardcore Corona times was our favorite Mark Sessler.
yes,
Yeah.
And then Rosenthal has been on once or twice.
he's been on once. Sessler's been on twice.
Sessler's been on twice.
We've had Nate Tice. We've had Sigmund Bloom on several times.
Yeah.
So
Long road. What would say your favorite episode is?
I mean,
You have any that stick out?
some of the guest episodes were a
Okay.
real thrill.
Yeah.
Having Mark on for the
Pretty
first
special
time.
early on.
Having Greg on, as an Around the NFL listener, those were pretty big. But even having Sig on for the first time was really cool.
He called me Southern Nick Sirianni.
That he did.
Yeah.
Which I'm
Thinks you're hot.
still on
Yeah.
the fence about. I don't know.
Sirianni's got some, he's a good looking dude.
He's okay. I would say some of my favorite times were the Popeyes spicy chicken taste test.
We did like a 30-minute Pop-Tart taste test with Mike that the
true.
listeners were not a fan of.
That's
That was
true.
also like week 16 or
Understandable.
something.
Yeah.
So it's like everybody just chill out. It's been a long season. Just let us eat Pop-Tarts,
Good
man.
times, man. Good times.
But yes, come a long way.
Hey, wouldn't want to do it with anyone else. I love you, boys.
No more marks for you. We gotta Kentucky. We have to end the to-go marks. Don't you dare.
Don't do it.
Don't you dare do it.
All I
Welcome
got
in.
left.
Welcome in, folks. This is a very special episode for multiple reasons. Not only is it episode 400 in the feed, and we thank you to everyone who's listened to the show up to now, and welcome in to anyone who's new. If this is your first episode tuning in, very special night because we are talking everyone's favorite position, Dynasty linebackers. We have the Edge episode. We already did top 24 Dynasty Edges, but we're splitting the linebacker episode into 2 parts because we know you all love some linebackers. So tonight will be 48 to 25, and then here in a few weeks we will have the 24 to 1. So tonight we are talking about the back half of the top 48 Dynasty linebackers, of course, pulled from Adam's Dynasty rankings, available to paid supporters over at theidpshow.com. Best in the game, updated constantly.
Already updated.
Already updated.
This is already old news.
I know,
Sorry.
The ranks that you're hearing tonight are no longer even accurate. The doc is about 3 hours old, and Adam's already been in there tinkering. So
I've been pulling some cool stuff though lately. So I mean, I'm getting new information all the time. So
constantly tinkering.
constantly
Down in the lab
you know.
working. And that's the thing, too. You have the ranks and the trade value on the website. Make sure you click the spreadsheet link and get in the sheets because the amount of information, it's not even fair to call them rankings.
If you got a bad heart, be careful clicking on that thing. All right,
Maybe stay away from it.
because it's a lot.
It could send you down a dark path.
It's a lot and a lot of colors. A lot of colors. If you suffer from seizures and stuff, don't get on there.
Please stand up and go around the table and get his mark from him.
I was going to give him my smart.
Yeah.
Got
Let's get
about 16 ounces. They made this thing
gosh.
strong, I will say.
They felt bad for you. I
could
think.
tell. They
They're
could
like,
tell I
give this
needed
guy
it.
a stronger mark.
He's had a hard time lately. Started a new job. He needs it.
He needs it. He needs it, folks. So what we're going to do here, we are doing the tier system again. We have this broken down into 6 tiers for the top 48. So tonight you are going to hear tiers 4, 5, and 6. We will start at 6 and work our way up to 4, counting down from 48 to 25. And I'll just kind of rattle these players off, gents, and then we can talk about whoever you want to talk about from that tier. But are you
Whomever.
boys? Whomever?
I don't know.
I don't know. I just whatever floats your boat on the whom versus who.
It's actually whom.
It's whomt. It's with a T on the end. As a matter of fact.
Is that a thing?
No,
That
it's
real?
not. No, it's
Should
not.
be.
It
Should
should
be.
be. That feels
Whomtever.
better.
Could be.
Whomtever. That's some Kentucky drawl, some Kentucky slang right there. But what do you say we dive in, boys? I think this is going to be a fun one. You want to talk some more just ramblings? Reminiscence?
Sure.
No, we're going to go ahead and get started. And we are going to kick things off with, like we said, tier number 6. And we are going to start with number 48. And like I said, work our way back. So at 48, we have Jordan Hicks. 47 is Eric Kendricks. Then Bobby Wagner. Couple legends here.
Couple olds.
Couple of olds. This is the old men episode, according to Aaron in the doc.
That's right.
It's an accurate description. So Levante David is after Bobby Wagner. And then we have the long-haired beauty, Alex Anzalone. And then we have Drew Tranquil. And then Jerome Baker is after Tranquil. E.J. Speed, Indianapolis Colts linebacker. C.J. Mosley after him. And then rounding out tier number 6 is Matt Milano. So, gentlemen, we have listed here probably 8 or 9 guys stretching from Jordan Hicks at 48 all the way down to Matt Milano, it looks like is number 39. So, Addy, these are your ranks. Lot of interesting players, not necessarily for Dynasty, but definitely for 2024. Who do you want to talk about first from this tier?
Yeah, contender pieces, right? These
Yes.
are all pieces that you want to try and acquire if you're in a spot where you think you're contending, right? So let's start off with Jordan Hicks, man. He's someone that I think is just super overrated. 5 straight years.
Underrated?
Underrated, sorry. It's the Marks.
It's the Marks
It's
talking,
the Marks. 5 straight seasons with over 100 tackles. During the same 5-year stretch, Jordan Hicks has never finished worse than linebacker 29 in points per game.
Wow.
So, definitely underrated. I also love the recent coaching connections for Hicks. I love that Jim Schwartz wanted him back to head his defense there in Cleveland. Remember, they had some time together in Philadelphia. And then I love that, Brian Flores wanted him to do the same thing there in Minnesota and be the guy for his defense there. And also, Jordan Hicks got injured, and even so, he still came back and got the same role that he had to start the season. So I love those connections there. Really good last year, 74.6 overall PFF grade and 70.2 coverage grade. Both those grades were its best since 2018. So, guy's underrated, really good for fantasy. And I think he's going to do the same thing again this year, man. Everything I'm hearing is that he's pretty much wearing the green dot. That's the expectation. And, I mean, if he gets 90 to 100% of the snaps, it's going to equal like 14 to 15 points per game. So,
Yeah, going as LB 43 right now, Bobo. That just screams value to me.
Absolutely. And Adam's exactly right. This is a contender piece, and Dino, most of these guys on here, if you don't see yourself in the playoffs this year and you see any of these guys on your team, you would probably be best to go ahead and try to move some of these guys for either younger pieces or some picks in the future, because honestly, I was trying to look down through a majority of these guys, and the average age for most of them is about 30 to 31. Do most NFL linebackers last to 34.4 years old in the NFL like Levante David? No. E.J. Speed, sneaky older than I thought he was.
Yep.
Also, Alex Anzalone, also probably going to start the season at age 30.
Yep.
Don't love it. I mean, it's not necessarily a knock on them. It's just kind of a little note of like, that's a nice little bump for Jack Campbell, and honestly for Zaire too. There's a huge narrative right now for a huge push for EJ Speed, and how he came on there at the end of the year. The Colts fan can speak to a little bit more, but I don't know. I'm not so sure if it was a EJ Speed coming out party, or if it was a Zaire was still hurt coming off of an injury type
A little bit of
deal.
both, yeah.
And I mean, that's like, it was only EJ Speed there.
Yeah.
Right? Because Shaq Leonard was not his old self,
Yep.
and they shipped him off. So, I mean, it was, he had the opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, it's like EJ Speed's probably going to have next year. But after that,
So is this
who knows?
Not sure.
Is this
Not
a
sure.
speed sell window right now? Sell high.
I mean, it just always depends on what can you get. Is the market hot for EJ Speed?
I feel like they are.
I don't know. I feel
don't
like the
think there's a
market
lot.
is
I feel like the most you could ever get for like right now would be like a 3rd-round
a
pick.
third would be a
Right.
nice cash out for Speed. If you can do that, you absolutely should. Because we saw like Junior Colson go
But everyone's going
in
to
the
try and
third.
send a fourth.
Yeah.
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 But you look at 14
Would you
point.
send him off for a fourth?
I'd rather just have him for next season or
Agreed.
for this
Me too.
coming season. 14.79 points per game, weeks 10 through 18 for EJ Speed, going as LB 36 right now. So
But-
he is getting up there.
But yeah, and I mean, we could see a world where EJ Speed plays really well this year and gets a second contract,
Absolutely.
and you have
Yeah.
a nice little linebacker 2-3 for the next couple years, and that's nice. That's worth something.
There's just uncertainty because we haven't seen it outside of like basically the back half of one season.
yeah.
So
But
there
I
is
like
some.
EJ Speed. He was fun to watch.
Yeah.
He's a hell of a player. He's a playmaker.
Oh, an odd like body type.
Yeah.
Like, tall and kind of lanky and
Him and Zaire are going to be a fun duo.
Yeah.
I think they're a severely underrated duo
100%.
right now. They have a podcast together.
oh
I
wow.
was talking to Connor about this today.
Everybody has a podcast.
Yeah, in the trenches with EJ Speed, Zaire Franklin, and then some other guy I've never heard of. So
Sweet.
he's had CJ Stroud on. Stroud was talking that doo-doo about Colts
Yeah.
Texans. So, it's I think Zaire's
That's gonna be a fun rivalry.
yeah, it is. I'm excited for Colts Texans games this year. So the one that was interesting to me because I was curious how you were going to break this down was how you were going to rank Levante David and Bobby Wagner. You have them back to back. Bobby Wagner at LB 46 and then Levante David at LB 45. Truly the splitting of hairs of split hairs. I mean, you were reading off some historical data that you've been pulling, and you had an awesome tweet earlier this week comparing the two careers of these guys. Do you have that pulled up? Because the stats were eerily similar.
I do. Yeah, so I've been looking at some career data lately. I'll have some stuff pulled together here for everybody, probably within the next couple weeks. But yeah, looking at just regular season stuff, I wanted to look at fantasy stats. So looking at regular season games played, Bobby Wagner has 185 compared to Levante David's 181. Regular season snaps, Bobby Wagner has played 11,867. Levante David has played 11,860.
That is so crazy.
So a difference in 7 snaps
Wow.
regular season. Career points per game, Bobby Wagner 15.4, Levante David 16.4.
Okay.
Career points per snap, 0.242 for Bobby Wagner, 0.25 for Levante David. Both these guys were drafted in 2012. Bobby Wagner was drafted 47th overall. Levante David was drafted 58th overall. Just insane. Also in this draft, Luke Kuechly was drafted 9th overall. Shout out. Pour one out for him. And Demario Davis, 77th overall.
What a class.
Vontez Burfict went undrafted.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a throwback.
Pretty cool stuff. But yeah, I mean, both those guys. Who do you think plays longer? Do you think they both go out at the same time? I feel like at this point, like, there's got to be a bit of like a competition between
I think
the two
so
of them,
too.
right?
They feel like the closest of contemporaries at the linebacker position, kind of some of the last vestiges of this old guard, right? They're literally 34 years old.
Yeah.
So Levante
Second
Davis
round
just
picks,
smidge older at
same
34.4. So I guess you think maybe Levante.
Well, I just think that I like Levante's situation better. You know, he's in Tampa Bay where he's been his entire career. When he's coming off his best season.
You got to look for tiebreakers, right?
Since, like-
when they're so close.
Yeah, Levante's coming off like his best season since like 20.
It was 17 points per game, y'all. He was
Yeah, I had this pulled up.
17.11 weeks 1 through 9, 16.81 weeks 10 through 18.
Yeah, but it was like Levante David's best season in like 5 years.
It was
so.
LB8.
He was awesome. I mean, so I mean, I'm Devin White's gone now. You know, I mean, I just feel better about him.
But shoot, man, Bobby Wagner was great too.
He was awesome too.
Man.
But Wagner is now on his 4th different team in 4 years, if you want to count going back to the Seahawks.
Yeah.
Seahawks, Rams, Seahawks, and now
Seahawks,
And now
Rams,
Washington.
Seahawks, Commanders.
correct. So
Is this his 3rd team in 3 years? Rams, Seahawks, Commanders,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
So
Wow.
bounced around. Now
I
I
do
will
like that
say,
he's reuniting with Dan Quinn though.
yeah, that's true.
I will say Bobby Wagner going as LB11 right now in our ADP. Levante David, LB19. So you could say
Discount Bobby Wagner.
his whole career.
Some are saying that.
Talk about a throwback. We need that on a T-shirt, Addy.
We do.
So yes, I was curious how you would split these guys out. I would have Levante slightly ahead as well.
Yeah.
Just based on you look at, I mean, those numbers were so insanely close, but David was just a bit more productive when he was on the field.
Yeah.
So again,
Yeah,
and continuity.
But also kind of slip on a little bit. I mean, people think Bobby Wagner is basically like, first ballot Hall of Famer. You have to probably consider Levante David like along the same lines
Yes.
as well, you know?
Yes.
Super Bowl winner. I mean, both of them can say that.
Yep.
Wagner have 2 Super Bowls, one in Seattle with Legion of Boom ever win one?
Yes, he won a Super Bowl there.
And then one-
He didn't. Did he win one with the
I
Rams?
think just the one.
No.
He just has
that
the
was
one.
just Ernest. Yeah. Wow.
Yep. So, yeah, I was curious how you were going to split those guys out. The other one that I thought was kind of interesting from this list was a couple of guys. Well, Matt Milano coming off a major injury.
Yeah.
I did see where he is back to doing some stuff, though.
Okay.
So,
Okay. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
And then a lot of guys who have switched teams recently in this, not necessarily in this tier specifically, but just in this top 48. Well, yeah, I mean, a lot in this tier, actually. Jordan Hicks, new team. Eric Kendricks, new team, Dallas Cowboys. Bobby Wagner, new team, Washington Commanders. Levante still in Tampa Bay. Anzalone still in Detroit. Drew Tranquil re-signed with Kansas City. And then
3-year deal for Tranquil.
Jerome Baker is now in Seattle. EJ Speed stayed in Indy. He was already on a contract there. CJ Mosley still in New York with the Jets, did not get cut, and then Milano with the Bills. So it's kind of this nice mix of, and you see this, right? When guys, linebackers are actually good, they don't just wash out of the league like a Shaq Leonard, right? They get opportunities in new spots. And so a guy like Eric Hendricks, for example, still kicking around. You were thought maybe, okay, maybe this is it. Maybe this is kind of the last we're going to see of Eric Kendricks' relevance for IDP, but then goes and lands in Dallas.
Yep.
And it's like, shoot, for 2024, talk about a contender piece. Give me Eric Kendricks all day long.
Something people forget is like when these guys are in the NFL for so long, they make tons of connections.
That's right.
Right? You know, and connections are everything. Like that's how these guys continue to land jobs. And Mike Zimmer's in Dallas.
Yep.
So there you go. I mean, and so that's why we have Roquan, we have Foy. Spoiler alert. Those guys are going to be high on the next episode. Fred
Very
Warner.
high, yep.
Those guys are, 27, 28, and that may seem high in Dynasty, right?
But they're going to be around the league for a long time.
But right, exactly. Look at all these guys on this list, like Bobby Wagner, Levante David, guys that are 30, Demario Davis. I don't think we mentioned him on this one. But, guys that are 34 and still producing really, really well. That's what's in store for those types. So, yeah, I mean, like I mentioned, all these guys are contender pieces. All these guys are the types that you should be trying to acquire. I think that's how you should play Dynasty IDP. Try and acquire these vets because they're cheap and they're still giving you elite production, and they will until they leave.
Until they retire, I
Yep.
think. I mean, because these are all professionals, right? Like they have track records. We know they're good linebackers. And like you said, the connections you mentioned earlier, Jordan Hicks, where does he go back to? Reuniting with Jim Schwartz in Cleveland to lead that defense. So,
Bobby Wagner.
yeah,
Quinn.
going to Dan Quinn. I mean, a lot of the movement we've seen here is connected to old coaches and relationships that these players have built. So, Bobo, anyone else from this tier that you want to call out specifically?
I mean, 2 in particular there, 44 and 43. Alex Anzalone. I wanted to go and actually look at some of the other linebacking contracts there in Detroit. So Jack Campbell is obviously, he was a rookie last year. His contract will expire in 2027, but they'll have the 5th-year option with him being a first-rounder.
Pick that up probably.
Derek Barnes expires this year. Malcolm Rodriguez expires next year. Deron Gilbert, Mitchell Agude, Ben Neiman is actually there. But then Alex Anzalone's contract expires in 2025. So, man, that's going to be interesting to see what Detroit does. They probably don't bring a guy like Malcolm Rodriguez back. They probably don't bring Derek Barnes back, but I mean,
think if Anzalone plays well, they'll bring him back.
You're exactly right. That's
they,
what I was
they love
thinking
Anzalone,
about.
man.
100%.
That's where I was going to. He is a little bit older than I thought, 29 years old, but who's to say that they couldn't bring him back on a little 1-2 year deal? He's
Pretty
been
much
very, very efficient.
Pretty much everyone in this tier is older than like 28, 29, though.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, this is like the 30-year-old tier right here.
But they'll keep getting these 1-year deals. Like Anzalone, you're right. I think exactly what I've thought. I mean, I think that, he's going to continue to get opportunity. I mean, he's played well. And it's Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell likes him. He likes, I think, the leader that Anzalone is.
Personifies who Dan Campbell likes.
Exactly.
Lunch pail.
They were together there at New Orleans.
Yes.
Right? So they've got a long history together.
Again,
Yeah,
relationships.
man. Yes. And that stuff just plays so much with Campbell. So,
Yep.
I think Anzalone will continue to be slept on and underrated and give you solid production.
So what about Drew Tranquil makes him, in your mind, worthy of top 48 consideration here? Because that was a name, again, not to say that he doesn't belong here. It was just a name that jumped out, kind of slept on a little bit in the shadow of Nick Bolton. Willie Gay out the door. You still have the bus leaper, Leo Chenal there.
Yeah.
So why Drew Tranquil here above some pretty notable names for Dynasty?
I expect Tranquil to get a much larger snap share next year. How is it all going to shake out? I don't really know. But, Tranquil can do a lot with the little. Like, I think he only needs like 70% of the snaps to give us like 13 to 14 points per game.
And he's got to be the leader in the clubhouse to be that LB2, right?
I think so. Yeah,
I don't think
so.
I don't think you bring him back 3 years, $19 million
And also, Nick
to make him the third banana.
Nick Bolton. Bobby's not going to like this, but
Okay, I can take it.
is he a little overrated?
Probably in the public's eye. You were reading some stats, though. There was some juicy little Nick Bolton stats you were giving us before the show. I think if Nick Bolton is healthy, if Nick Bolton is healthy, top 5 is in his range of outcomes at a pretty high percentage in my mind.
Yeah, he sucked in the playoffs though. Was really, really bad.
How banged up was he? Do we
Yeah,
know?
that's fair. I think he definitely missed some games in the second half, so I think that's fair. But he was very, very bad. I was looking at the PFF numbers earlier, and it was not good. Like his last 3 playoff games were all like in the 40s.
Ooh, that's rough.
So, I don't know. I think there's a world where Tranquil could surprise, and what if he ends up being the lead linebacker there?
I would be pretty shocked by that. Not saying it's not possible, but I think if Bolton is healthy, he is the leading snap
I agree.
getter.
I think that's most likely. But I think Tranquil is a little slept on. I think he's a good leader type.
If it's not, that playoff performance was the start of a trend, and maybe Bolton's going the way of Shaquille Leonard, where it's just like the play starts to decline.
Yeah,
Possible.
I just don't know that Nick Bolton is that special, right? The guy continues to be drafted like in these best balls, like as a top 6 linebacker.
Yeah, I don't want
which is just
to
odd.
pay that price.
Which is just odd. He's just never he was that like year 1, but he just hasn't been that since. And I don't know. You're just drafting the guy at the ceiling. And
so you have a pretty optimistic dynasty outlook for Drew Tranquil, and you think there's a longer shelf life
think so.
here. 'Cause he's 28.8, not 30 yet.
I think he can still. I think we're gonna look up when he's 32, 33, and we're still gonna be talking about him. Oh, he's still relevant.
Hell, he could still be in Kansas City at that point.
Could be.
Nick Bolton, I think, is going to be
also has a podcast, I believe. Drew Tranquil.
Does he?
Yeah, I think he does.
If it's not called the Tranquilizer, what the hell are we doing here?
Yeah, it's true.
And I think Nick Bolton's going to be due a new contract here soon, Bobo.
Yeah, he's let me look. I think he's going into a contract year this year. I had actually done the same thing. I pulled up the Chiefs linebacking contract. So yes, Tranquil is through 2026 now. Nick Bolton is only signed through 2024, and then Leo Chenal is signed through 2025 also.
Okay. It could be Chenal Tranquil. If Bolton doesn't perform this well, they'll let him go.
I want to pay attention to the camp reports coming out of Kansas City to see how this linebacker battle is
I think
shaking
Bolton's
out.
going to be fine. But again,
I agree with what you're saying, Adam.
There's some upside there, I think.
The
that
points
people
per
aren't recognizing.
The points per game in 2022 is what people are drafting
Yes.
Nick Bolton for in
If he stays
2024.
healthy,
Yes.
this is in his range of outcomes.
Absolutely. They're drafting him at his absolute ceiling right now, whereas people are hoping that that ceiling is LB1 to LB6 range. In my mind, he's really more – he's a great linebacker. I really think he's a good linebacker, but he does fall points per game-wise for me more in that LB7 to LB12 range.
I was going to say, if he was being drafted as the LB 12 or 13 right now, we'd be back in on Bolton.
Sure.
But just paying that sticker price, the
Yeah.
market is still very much overinflated on Bolton.
And also, you know, they lost Willie Gay, but they also have Justin Reed there who just put up 95 tackles.
Yeah.
They also just drafted Jaden Hicks, who's a big old box banger.
Yeah.
And I'd rather
I think
just
Leo
take,
Chenal is going to play more in year 3.
I'd
Mike
rather
Edwards
just
still
take-
there?
No.
Okay, he's gone.
But I mean, I think Chenal's going to
Watson.
play more. I think Tranquil's going to play more. So
and,
I mean,
and Tranquil's going as LB 45. I'd much rather just pass on Bolton and take, if you want a piece of the Chiefs linebackers, just go
You have one of the best
Drew Tranquil at 45.
slot corners in the game from a tackling perspective in Trent McDuffie.
yeah, for sure.
It is a little bit of a muddy room, I will admit. And I like Willie Gay in New Orleans.
Yep.
But I do think that the combination of Leo Chenal and Drew Tranquil could be better than Willie Gay.
And look at Tranquil's log. I mean, the guy has
Yeah.
big playability. Like
Yep.
he has these big spike weeks. And I mean, he's perfect in best ball. But he's been that way like every time he's got an opportunity.
Yeah.
So
And I do kind of
I'm a
love
fan.
I love underlying guys like that are just trying to make a living, honestly. Like, you know, that deal for him, 2 years, $8 million. I don't exactly remember what it was.
I think they gave him 3 years, 19.
3 years, 19 for Drew Tranquil.
I don't know who
Yeah.
I was looking at, but
Probably Hicks.
maybe. But anyways, that's solid money, man. And you got to think that he's trying to get another payday like that here in a year or so. I don't know. I love the contract stuff. I love when you got a guy going into a year knowing that and maybe that's that for Nick Bolton this year. Maybe Nick Bolton goes into this season knowing, all right, well, I'm
It's time
either
to
in
ball
Kansas
out.
City or I'm going to get a bag somewhere else in free agency. I understand, and I don't disagree with you, Adam. I do understand what you're saying with the elevated price for
It's
Nick
just
Bolton.
the market. It's
Yeah.
just the market. We don't hate players
Yeah.
for the most part. We just hate the price tags.
It's just kind of like Jalen Petre. It's kind of like you see these guys come in and in their rookie year they just go crazy, and all of a
Leonard, early career.
sudden points per game just gets out of control. But who after rostering, and I'm not relaying Nick Bolton to Shaq Leonard from a points per game perspective, I am. But who wouldn't? I mean, I told this to Lauren years ago. Lauren drafted Shaq Leonard in like the 4th round. And I told him, I was like, after that year 1, who would not have said, absolutely, it would have been a good idea to go ahead and cash out to the moon on Shaq Leonard. I mean, Shaq Leonard was maybe one of the most hard to acquire, valuable linebackers of our time. Probably more than Roquan, right?
After that first year. I mean,
Yeah.
that first year was insane.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was worth a first plus for sure.
Plus a lot.
Yeah.
You better.
You could talk 2 first
Yeah.
about Shaq Leonard after that first year.
Absolutely.
And
You
then
thought
it
you
just
had
got
the-
worse and worse.
Yep.
and
you thought you had the
worse.
Dynasty linebacker 1 for the next
Yep.
probably
You're
4 to 5 years at
circling
least.
back,
Yeah.
hey, about that first. It's not a first anymore.
And in fairness to Shaq, I know we've given him a hard time.
Yeah,
His,
health.
his body just betrayed him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just one of those great what ifs, like Bob Sanders. Those
A
just
lot
come
of that
along.
in Indianapolis.
Yeah, Andrew Luck, Peyton
Yeah.
Manning, a lot of injury sadness.
Weird
Let's call
stuff.
Connie.
Yeah.
See how he's doing. Yeah, he's asleep.
That's a good episode.
There
Con
you go.
crying.
There, let's bring Connor on to talk about his sadness. All right, well, let's do the next tier, gentlemen, and we are going to tier number 5. We are kicking things off with another linebacker in a new spot. It is Kenneth Murray, Tennessee Titans at 38. Dre Greenlaw, San Francisco 49ers at 37. Tyrell Dotson, 36, Seattle Seahawks. Kaiser White, 35, Arizona Cardinals. Caden Ellis, 34, Atlanta Falcons. And let's see who's next here. Nakobe Dean was talking about him in the IDP show Slack today. 33, Philadelphia Eagles. Josie Jewell, 32, now with the Carolina Panthers. Devin White, 31, Philadelphia Eagles. And we wrap up this tier with Mr. Kingleton, Alex Singleton, Denver Broncos, number 30. So, gentlemen, this tier stretching from Alex Singleton at 30 all the way up to Kenneth Murray at 38. Bobo, kick us off on this tier. Who do you want to talk about?
I kind of want to talk about Devin White.
Okay, let's do it.
I don't really want to, but I kind of want to. I don't know.
You are a man conflicted.
You scared?
I know the play has been so bad, but for me with Devin White, there is kind of the what if, but what if, like you just see a lot of people go to Philadelphia and all of a sudden it's just kind of like a different mindset. How he gets to you a little bit, and it's like Devin might wake up and be like, you know what, I was terrible in Tampa Bay.
He's already said, I approached last season like a lawyer, and I have regrets.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all saw that.
No, I haven't.
He did take a little bit of accountability.
I don't know. I just wonder if the play can turn around. I'm not going to draft him highly this year, but he's just kind of one of those ones I just kind of want to put a pin in.
I mean, 12.4 points per game in 2023,
Yeah.
13.66 weeks 10 through 18. So he was not awful,
Yeah.
but it was just such a fall from grace for what we've seen historically from Devin
You
White.
in at all, Addy?
LB 25 in best ball drafts right now.
ADP wise,
Not
no,
there.
I don't think I'm in there, but I mean, I am like a little optimistic. Like I want it to work out for him. I've always liked Devin White. I know the PFF grades have been terrible, but I know he was very unhappy there in Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
And I know that also you probably whenever you're a PFF grader, I imagine anyone next to Levante David looks pretty bad.
Yeah.
Because you have the gold standards, right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, man.
Yeah.
You just have this
So that's
amazing linebacker
Yeah.
running the perfect way every single time.
So that's a tough spotlight to be in. So I mean, yeah, and the situation there in Philadelphia is much better. I mean, you talk about one of the best defenses in football, and one of the youngest too. So I mean,
Good defensive coordinator, Fangio.
Yep, a lot of upside. Secondary's gotten really strong too lately. So, yeah, he intrigues me. I mean, I just you remember early career when the dude was just a little bit of a cheat code. So I don't think he's going to ever get back to that level. But I mean, he can still bounce around. I think that he can revive his career. But it was just a 1 year, $4 million deal.
I know. Finished as LB 41, going as LB 26 is a little crazy to me.
And he did last a good while. So I mean, the NFL was telling us that they're not that interested in this guy. So, I mean, if he does not get it together here in Philly, I mean, he could be running out of stops.
Gosh, dude.
And I don't like that.
LB 25, sorry, yeah.
And we do see this a lot. We do see this a lot with this position, especially when these guys grade poorly. I mean, we've seen it with Deion Jones. We've seen it with Blake Martinez. We've seen it with Jalen Smith. Like, PFF gets their hate, but there's usually a lot of truth in these
It
grades.
tends to be a kind of a leading indicator of whose job is about to be
Yep.
evaporated. And we saw that last year. I believe at one point he was essentially a healthy scratch.
Yes.
In favor of KJ Britt, I believe.
Also in the playoffs, I remember
Yeah.
doing a IDP bets episode where we recommended Devin White.
Remember this
And
well.
the dude got benched. And we were just just caught off guard with it, just because like we thought with it being the playoffs,
It was a lock. It was like 3 tackles.
It was nothing. We were like,
3.5.
this is a mistake of
Yeah,
a line.
yeah.
And
Vegas always knows.
Vegas knew something.
They always know.
It's hard to look away from Devin White's 2020. He had 140 combined tackles. He had 9 sacks. Then backed up 128 tackles in 2021, 3.5 sacks, 5.5 sacks in 2022, 2.5 sacks last year. He's always been a sack guy. He's always been in the backfield. He's always honestly been a pretty decent tackler up until last year, only 83 tackles last season. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm sure there's other ones y'all want to talk about, but Devin White's just kind of one that's...
He's interesting.
He's really gross, but...
He honestly really is this high in my ranks because I know that the market likes him.
Yep.
I
Yep.
think most people still are in on Devin White. I think most people are optimistic about this landing spot.
Yeah. They're also rostering Chase Young, probably.
Probably so, right? It's hard
Can't
to let
give up
go.
hope.
It's hard to let go of some of these guys.
Can't give up hope. The draft capital.
Yeah.
Now, I am curious. We mentioned getting a piece of a room with Kansas City, Drew Tranquil versus Nick Bolton. You have Nakobe Dean, the other presumed Philadelphia starting linebacker, at 33,
Yeah.
despite being 3 years younger. The article comes out today saying, we still believe in Nakobe Dean. I don't know that I necessarily want to hear that. If I'm a player, it's like, why did you have to remind me that you still believe in me? Was there ever like a question of your belief? So I have a feeling this ranking is reflective, Addy, of just we have not seen much of anything from Nakobe Dean at this point. And if we don't see it this season, I'd say it's a slim chance that we're going to see it in the future.
220 regular season snaps for Nakobe Dean. We've not seen anything at all.
Over 2 seasons.
Over 2 seasons, yeah. And this guy didn't have the highest draft capital. People act like this guy was like drafted in the first round. He was third-round pick, you know, and he had question marks. It was about his health. That's why he slid to the third round. And what has he done?
Voila, here we go.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, I think that the concerns were warranted. And, yeah, I mean, again, it's similar to Devin White here with Nakobe Dean. I'm not a Nakobe Dean guy, but I know a lot of people are. I know a lot of people are still hyped up about him. So, again, I think if you have Nakobe Dean, it's a good time to maybe sell. But also there is that part of you where it's like, well, I mean, what if he does stay healthy? What if he gets it together? We could be looking at a very productive year. So I do understand it's hard because you may not have a lot of people coming at you. I mean, I'm sure you won't. You won't have a lot of people coming and giving you like good, fair deals. Everyone's going to be trying to get a bargain on Nakobe Dean.
Could be sending you fourths and stuff.
Forced and right, exactly. And it's like, at that point, I'll just hope that he stays healthy and gives me a good year, and then I can flip him for more than that, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's like the Troy Anderson conundrum, where
Same
it's like
thing.
a lot of hope for these guys, and we just haven't seen it.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, there's a reason to be pessimistic, but the upside case is pretty tantalizing.
Yeah.
Because it's like, what if these guys do hit their ceiling? Because luck, a lot of times, or injuries, a lot of times just come down to luck. And sometimes that luck changes. Right. Certain guys, I do believe that certain players are injury prone, but a lot of times it's just bad luck when it comes to injuries.
And I think we could be sitting here this time next year, episode 500, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe 600 by then. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe
700
1,000.
probably. We're gonna really pump it up and
Pump it up.
25.
But we could be talking about Peyton Wilson in the same light, you know. And I don't want to put injuries on anybody, but a guy who's had 10 surgeries, you know, in his college career.
Reason to be a little skeptical.
Yeah. And something that you said, Adam, a couple of months ago, maybe
Couple
weeks
minutes ago.
Who knows?
You said earlier
I'm just
this
drinking
episode.
water right now. I'm just tired. But
it's
you
vodka.
said Peyton Wilson, you know, let's let him have a good stretch of games. Let's have him rack up some tackles, and then let's ship him off.
Cash out, baby.
Let's get some profit in IDP. And I think you're exactly right here with Nakobe Dean. Like, when is the sell high window for some of these guys that fall in this category? Because NFL is not for long. You know, a lot of these linebackers they go the same way as these running backs. You look up and it's like, wow, this guy's not even in the league anymore.
That's why they have podcasts, because they've got to make sure their post-NFL careers are worked out.
Yeah, the linebacking episode is the most watched episode and the most cared for episode, the most viewed episode because, you know, it's the most.
It's the most bestest as well.
It's the most bestest, but it's the position that is like the most needed. You need the information for the depth chart.
Because it changes so quickly, dude.
Yeah, like what happens when Nick Bolton gets hurt? Who's behind him? What happens when Nakobe Dean's not, you know, healthy? It's just
It's a volume position.
It's weird,
Just
man.
need snaps.
Yep.
Okay, so we mentioned Devin White, LB 25 right now. Nakobe Dean, LB 40, 99th overall. But as Ringler pointed out today, he has dropped into the 120s post-draft. We end on 10th round Nakobe Dean in best ball drafts.
It depends on who's there, of course. I mean, if like
I'll pull it up and tell you.
if it's, I think Jordan Hicks I looked today was 43. I want Jordan Hicks.
Jordan Hicks.
Let's look at the ADP. We'll look specifically at the 10th round because these are going to take a little bit to normalize sort of after the draft.
Before he pulls them up, do you believe in Nakobe Dean or Devin White more for 24?
Devin White, I think, more for.
I think I'm in on that too.
Okay, so I'm looking at so the beginning of the 10th round would
I just
be
trust that Devin White's gonna stay healthy.
Yeah, yeah.
I just don't trust.
And
that
he's
for
done it before.
108 to 120, right? That's
Yeah.
the 10th round.
Yeah.
So 108 is starting with Jermaine Pratt and Jordan Hicks,
Yeah, we're gonna have both of those guys.
Kenneth Murray,
Yeah.
Yes.
Drew Tranquil,
Yeah.
Cody Barton,
Nah.
right? Okay, kind of interesting. Juwan Bentley,
Nah.
Probably.
Edgerrin Cooper,
Nah.
So I think, and then after that, so going after 120 is like Divine Diablo,
Nope.
Pete Warner,
Nope.
Drew Sanders, who will continue to plummet with the injury, Shaq Thompson,
Nope.
Willie Gay.
Nah.
So 10th round
Maybe.
to Kobe Dean, maybe okay. Just depends on how you build your team at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, possibly.
I think I want Willie Gay.
Definitely better than what was he going, like seventh, sixth, sixth or seventh round? No
yeah.
thanks there.
Yeah, I mean, and I like that better than Devin White because you look at where Devin White is being selected. That is right before him, linebacker-wise, is actually, funny enough, Devin Lloyd at LB 23, Big Bob Spillane, LB 24,
Underrated.
Yeah.
Christian Harris, LB 26, Trenton Simpson, LB 27. There's a good one. Would you rather have Trenton Simpson or Devin White for 2024? I think I'll take
I
the
know.
upside of Simpson.
Yeah, I kind of like the upside of Simpson.
I think I want Devin White.
Okay, see, this is kind of interesting.
Malik Harrison's got me a little worried.
But if you knew that, say you know that Simpson's going to be the second guy there, you want Simpson.
You want Simpson as the Patrick Queen full-time replacement.
Still want White.
I'm optimistic. I'm kind of
get
intrigued.
I get it. Now, I will say right after that, though, goes Josie Jewell and
Jewell.
Troy Anderson. There's another interesting dice roll at LB 29.
I think I'll go Troy Anderson over
Devin
Dean.
White.
Over Devin White.
Yeah.
Well, over Devin White. I don't know. Probably
That's-
not. I mean, there's some landman talk.
You want
Yeah.
Anderson over
Man,
Dean,
man,
though.
man.
Yeah, I do want him over Dean
Kind of interesting.
in both formats.
Yeah, I think so, too.
I just think that if Anderson does stay healthy, like he could be like one of these 150 tackle types. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, we mentioned Josie Jewell. You have him at 32 on this list, Addy. Another guy, love for 2024. I bet when we look up at the end of the draft season, these best balls, looking at your portfolio, will probably be one of my most rostered players.
No doubt.
Just love where he's going right now, sitting as LB 28. Still love that value. Tremendous value.
He was top 5 when when Ezra was his DC in Denver.
Yep.
And points per game. So I mean, yeah, he's gonna eat.
Gosh, that's high ADP for Edrin Cooper.
Yeah, I'm not in on Edrin Cooper.
Not at
No
all.
way.
I'm not in on any of these rookies.
No, I
Are
think
y'all?
no. Junior Colson, I think, would be the only one.
I like some of the edges.
I want to see him.
Linebackers, no.
I like Jared Verse.
Yeah.
I want to see him win the job over Perryman, Colson.
Yeah.
But I don't think Cooper is going to win the job over.
I saw Colson is hurt right now, I think. A little
Is he?
banged up.
Yeah.
Okay.
So far, it has been. I
Henley.
did some reading on the Athletic. So far, it's been Henley and Perryman.
Oh
As
my
the
God,
top
it's going to
two.
be Deion Henley season.
Yeah.
We're
Hey.
like, we knew it.
I'm here for it.
We
Be
were in all
awesome.
along.
Would be sick.
I'm here for it.
No, but I think it's going to be McDuffie and Walker
Yeah.
in Green Bay.
I think so as well.
I think McDuffie is being incredibly slept on.
Dude.
You talk about.
Yeah.
So we have Cooper sitting here at. Where did I say he was?
I just
Cooper
got him
is
in
at,
19.
Yeah, let's pull up Cooper because that ADP. I will be so curious how this starts to correct. And Mike is actually going to be writing articles every month looking at the changing ADP. But yeah, Edrin Cooper is LB 48, and then you have McDuffie at LB 65. So, folks, let's start to kind of make this make sense because it's not really making sense right now.
I got McDuffie in the 12th round in BB 19, right ahead of Deion Henley and right behind Kobe Turner.
Just some delicious values though right now.
Yeah.
For this tier in particular. We mentioned Josie Jewell, but Alex Singleton, I mean, some of the stats you were reading us before the show, I believe Alex Singleton was number 1 all time in the historical data you had pulled for points per game. Is that right? Or tackle rate? Tackle rate.
Tackle rate.
Yes.
17.4% tackle rate. Yeah. And let's see who's next to him. But that's he's only played 5 years, so I mean it's
It's not the biggest sample size, but it's significant enough.
But yeah, that's really solid still. Nick Bolton is next at 16.2. Again, 3 years. Denzel Perryman, surprisingly, 15.4% tackle rate for his career. Foye, 15.3% tackle rate.
What a legend.
TJ Edwards, 15%.
His name kept coming up a lot in
Yeah.
these stats you were reading us.
Yeah, he was. I also did a thing where I took the average of everyone's PFF grades. I know that's not perfect. I know sometimes there's years where guys only play like 3 years
Addie's
versus
gonna
or 3 games versus 17 games.
And he's gonna get a cease and desist from
Yeah.
Chris Collinsworth.
Yeah,
Maybe
I
so.
can hear it now.
But still, I think it's valuable.
It's an
And,
interesting data point.
I think so. And yeah, TJ Edwards is one of the best linebackers as far as like PFF average goes. He is 77.3.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these guys, the 70s was
Yeah.
like where Levante David was, I think, historically.
Right. Like if you look at so I also pulled some legends. Patrick Willis was at 87.9.
Walk-in Hall of Famer.
Jeez.
Yeah. And again, this is PFF average. So I took the average of their
Overall
PFF,
grade?
Overall PFF
Okay.
grade for every single year of their career. So yeah, Willis 87.9, Kuechly 86.4, Bobby Wagner 81.7, Fred Warner 78.7, TJ Edwards 77.3,
Come on.
Ivan Pace just 1 year but 77.1, so good start. Levante David 76.3.
So you heard it here first, folks. Ivan Pace, greater sign, Levante David.
He's just better.
He's just better. Watch ball, you
Yeah.
idiots. But yes,
But cool stuff we're digging into. We'll have I'll have some stuff put together much better in some future episodes. But yeah,
just starting to dig into the numbies a little bit.
we're just trying to look at things that aren't being looked at, And there's a lot of cool stuff out there that I think we can gather from this stuff.
Ivan
Bubba.
Pace's discount Levante David.
His entire career, dude.
He is bargain bin, Levante David.
We got to keep that going.
Alex Singleton was amazing last year, y'all.
He's awesome.
14.9 points per game, 17.51
This will be
weeks 10 through 18.
I think it was 4 straight years of 100 tackles for Mr. Singleton.
And it's Cody Barton there,
Yeah,
right, as
right.
the LB2. So it's like
He'll be a 60 to 80% guy.
he might be the most slept on. You look at LB18.
yeah.
Yeah, that's great. That's if you're looking for your
Boy.
LB1,
Boy.
LB1 and LB2 prices, it's Alex Singleton.
And that guy's like top 6 potential. Because we saw it last year. LB9 finished last year for
And
Alex
he's
Singleton.
so safe and stable. Like
Yeah.
you love a guy like that. Again, 17.4% career tackle rate
Across 5
Ridiculous.
seasons. That's not a
And
small sample
that's
size.
a beautiful asset to have.
750 snaps in 2020, 784, 771, 1,089 snaps in 2023. We just got done talking about guys that, Jacoby Dean can barely get on the field for any snaps. Alex Singleton is he's a healthy player.
He's Canadian too. Shout out Canada.
Shout out
We got some
Canada.
Mac.
Good people up there.
Some good people, some bad people, though.
Yeah,
as
some
well.
real bad people.
Some
too.
real bad hearts.
Bad eggs.
So this is a great tier for a lot of some of my favorite values. Caden Ellis getting a lot of the drum beat for Caden Ellis out of Falcons camp is strong right now.
Yep.
Kind of intriguing. So don't forget about Caden Ellis. Kaiser White, just
Man.
another tremendous value.
I
Only
heard-
28.2 years old.
Right, and that's why, because they still got probably another contract in them. I think that we will see them, still be relevant into their early 30s. So, yeah, I love those guys. Big play upside too, right? That's what's so important with Caden Ellis.
Caden Ellis,
he's got
yeah.
the sack upside, and Kaiser White slept on as well. Makes a lot of things happen.
I feel like a lot of the narrative this offseason with Raheem Morris now being in Atlanta is going to be, well, who is going to be Raheem's Ernest Jones? But people are forgetting that Raheem Morris was the coach when he was the DC when Ernest Jones and Bobby Wagner were both there.
Yep.
So,
And Ernest, I remember we had a flag plant. I think it was like 68% of snaps there with B-Wags.
yeah,
'Cause
that
you
was
had
my
him,
flag.
You
plant.
had him north of like 60 or 65%,
Yeah.
and we got that one.
Yeah.
So it wasn't quite 70, but it was, pretty much 70% of snaps.
Because that was basically, everybody was saying, no, this is a 1 QB or a 1 LB team. It's also a 1 QB team.
It is
but
1 QB.
they're
It's
all-
not a super flex.
Well, they got
team.
Jimmy G now, so they're kind of a 1.5. QB.
going super flex.
They're
Stafford
thinking about it.
might sit out.
Might-
Yeah,
It's a lot of handsome to roll out there.
Yeah. It's interesting.
that is the hottest QB room, right?
Oh, 100%.
And then you got Stetson.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a hot name. He's a
Georgia
wild boy too.
Georgia boy.
That's right.
I don't want to skip over though Kenneth Murray. I think we like Kenneth Murray for 2024.
We like to sell him. Yeah, exactly.
Cash out almost immediately.
Everyone's excited. His value's back up again. He's probably going to have a really good year.
Let's
get out. Let's get out.
Did fall off a cliff a little bit. 5 points per game difference the back half of the season.
And then the PFF grades have never been good.
Yeah,
right?
he was
at any point.
52.9 overall. Now that was the second best of his career because his rookie year 54.4 overall, then went 34, 47.1, and 52.9.
Nah,
Not good.
it ain't gonna work.
Not good. A 2-year deal there in Tennessee. They do have an out, I think, but
I always just like the guys that are going later than their 2023 finish.
Yeah.
LB 34 for Kenneth Murray going as LB 44.
yeah, and he's in a better situation.
I agree.
So yeah, he's someone that I've been drafting quite a bit.
Now, the one I really wanted to talk about,
Yep.
Dre Greenlaw at 37.
Yeah,
Speak on it because I think a lot of folks are gonna be like, but the torn Achilles, like, what if he's never the same? So inside your top 40 Dynasty linebackers,
Yeah,
what
no,
was the rationale?
for sure. I mean, it was actually someone that I've recently bumped up just because I got to thinking about it. I was like, man, he's been really good. And I don't think that San Fran's going to keep him around, but I do think he'll get an opportunity elsewhere. And, I mean, he'll be fine. I mean, is he going to be he's going to be out of the shadow of Fred Warner, you know, wherever he goes next. So I feel like that's a positive. But I mean, he's always been a guy that's got a solid tackle rate. It's gonna depend on like how he bounces back from this injury, of course. It is an Achilles, so that of course concerns you. But I don't know. I think that he'll be able to get jobs, and I'm just banking on him being healthy.
I took him in the most recent best ball draft that we just completed.
I don't like him for this year.
Well, I like him for if I can get him down the stretch, like let's say post Thanksgiving.
Sure.
We go through week 18 in these best ball drafts.
Where'd you take him at?
It was late. It was like in the late 20s.
Okay. Yeah, that's
So
fine.
it's like, I mean, I don't
Sure.
think he'll be back before Halloween.
He took him
But
in the
it's-
14th.
Yeah, took him in the 4th round.
You just ruined your
I
life.
ruined it. I wrecked that team.
Yeah.
But no, I think it's Devondre Campbell. So I think he's just keeping the seat warm for Greenlaw. As soon as
course,
he's
yep.
healthy and ready to get back in there, he will.
Oren
So-
Burke's still there.
Nope. He's
Gone.
in Philly now.
Philly.
Yep.
Maybe Oren Burke's the one we need to be in
He
on.
might be on this list next
I can't
year.
wait for that. I can't wait for week 2, and all of a sudden we're just like, wow.
Well, I mean, the buzz right now is Zach Bond.
Yeah.
You know,
Zach
Yeah.
Bond. That is some May, June news if I've ever heard it.
think-
Because Dean's not right now, I don't think.
He's injured.
He's injured.
Shocker.
Yeah.
Shocker. All right,
Not
so
even a sell window.
we can't even get him into a window. He's just sitting on the sidelines. So let's move to the final tier for tonight, gentlemen. Talk about tier number 4, and we are kicking off with some rookies here at 29. We are kicking things off with the Carolina Panthers rookie Trevin Wallace at 29. Number 28, Peyton Wilson, Pittsburgh Steelers. 27, Trenton Simpson, Baltimore Ravens. 26, Troy Anderson, the 9-9 RAS freak himself. No, he was a 10. 10 RAS freak himself.
Come on now.
25.2 years old. 26 overall, Troy Anderson, Atlanta Falcons. And then wrapping up with Ivan Pace Jr., Minnesota Vikings, is our 25th ranked linebacker. Addy, I'll throw it back over to you. Where do you want to start with tier number 4?
Let's just start right here at the top. 29, Trevin Wallace. This whole tier is just a bunch of young guys
Yeah,
with upside.
it got
right?
a lot younger as we went down this list here.
Yes. Hope you guys noticed that. But I mean, Trevin Wallace, 21.3 years of age. He was their 3rd round pick in this past draft. He's got Josie Jewell, who we do like in the short term, but he is 29, and he's also dealt with his share of injury history. And same with Shaq Thompson, who's 30, who's coming off a pretty major injury. So, I mean, I think the Trevin Wallace, his time's coming. This year, maybe not, but you're not drafting him and redraft, I don't think. And he was like a 5th round pick in your rookie drafts. I got a lot of Trevin Wallace.
I was going to say, you got Trevin Wallace in our main league in the 5th round.
Right. So Trevin Wallace, not one of these guys that's going to be a huge tackler, but he does have some nice big play upside. I think he had like 19 sacks in college, something like that. So, I mean, he's basically like the Louvu replacement there in Carolina. So I like Trevin Wallace. I think that you may have to be a little patient, but I mean, it's Carolina, dude. There ain't nobody there. Like, his time will come. He was somebody we were excited about pre-draft. Like, he was top 5 for us pre-draft, and I mean, draft capital is good enough for a linebacker.
And this team's gonna suck.
This team is gonna suck.
I think this.
And they may decide to go with these young boys pretty early.
They may be out of contention by like Thanksgiving.
Yep.
And they may let's just roll out these young guns and see what we got here.
Yeah, I feel like Shaq Thompson could be getting replaced here.
Yeah, it could be the writing on the wall for Shaq Thompson. Yeah. Or it could be like Shaq Thompson, hey, do you want to go chase a ring somewhere?
Yeah.
Let's go flip you for like a 5th round pick or something.
I like Shaq Thompson. Just wonder, is he going to be himself after that injury? I think it was a broken femur.
It was pretty bad.
Yeah, it wasn't good. So, he's
anytime you break a bone and you're out for the entire season, that is very bad.
Yeah, and he's still not back to doing.
And he's 30.
Right.
So I think Trevin Wallace has upside as early as 2024, but especially when the lane clears out after this year. Yeah, wheels up, because multiple reasons, right? Injury concerns with both Shaq Thompson and Josie Jewell, and then just sort of a little bit narrative street, but Panthers are going to suck, Bobo.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of teams that I leave the door open for. They could surprise, like the Commanders. They could surprise if Jaden Daniels
sure.
is RG3
yeah.
2.0. Sure. But I just don't see it with the Panthers. I think this is going to be a 3 to 4 to maybe 5 win team.
Yeah.
So
it would take a massive leap from Bryce Young.
Yeah. That boy can't leap very tall
No.
or very high. He is very, very short.
Very tall.
Yeah.
Very
Defense
tall
sucks.
indeed.
The defense sucks.
Yeah, and that defense is terrible.
Yeah.
Like, show me the strength of the Carolina Panthers team.
I mean, it is Derek Brown.
Now no Brian Burns.
They did pay Derek Brown. So
they did.
congrats to you, buddy, for being the one player the Carolina Panthers want to pay.
Didn't pay.
Wasn't
Brian
DJ
Burns.
Moore, wasn't CMC, wasn't Brian Burns.
Jeremy Chin.
Probably not going, not Jeremy Chin, probably not going to be Bryce Young.
It's his defensive tackle.
Yeah, it's a defensive tackle.
100 tackles.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's what we want.
He is awesome, though.
He is great. He
No
deserved
shade, no
every
shade.
bit. All those guys deserved to
But
get
right,
paid.
you
though.
let a lot of other
Yeah.
really good players go.
Why Derek Brown and not these other guys? All right, Baba, what about you? Who do you want to talk about from Tier 4? And we should mention, Tier 4, I think, is going to continue in the next episode as well.
Yes.
I want to say about Trevin Wallace. I mean, look out for 24. He could get some PT this year.
I think so.
I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. Injury, stuff there, and I don't know. I don't think those two guys in front of him are anything to write home about. But yeah, let's talk about Trenton Simpson. He seems like the big the glaring one to me in this tier, to where second-year guy now all of a sudden walks into a pretty prime situation there. No Pat Queen. Pat Queen was an LB1 last year. We need to look up and see actually what his finish was, but
At times, yeah.
Pat Queen was really, really good. So yeah, Trenton Simpson. Aaron has here, he scored 21.85 points in Big 3 scoring in Week 18 with Queen in a reduced role. I think they had pretty much already locked up the playoffs and actually gave Trenton some PT. So
He played like 50% of snaps that week, too.
yeah.
Is there a bigger wild card at the linebacker position for 2024 than Trenton Simpson?
You could either have him finish as the LB 48. You could have him finish as the LB 8.
Because it could be
or LB
98.
200.
Yeah, it could be the Malik
that's right.
Harrison show, and Trenton Simpson does not see the field.
Yeah.
Or it could be Trenton Simpson is better than Patrick Queen ever was and is a top 12 linebacker right out the gate.
The more I think about it, the more I'm kind of getting in on Trenton Simpson, honestly.
There's a lot of guys we've talked about tonight that it's like you got to plant your flag.
We also forget about how mid Pat Queen was. There was several years there pre-Roquan where Pat Queen was getting benched regularly. Bad PFF grades. I don't know.
Be careful, Bob. I got him pretty high in the next episode, Bob.
Well, you might.
Listen,
We haven't recorded
Young
it
is
yet. You
young.
can move him around.
Young.
Yes.
Let's remember
Still-
Patrick Queen. Is he 24?
I was gonna say, is he 24
This
years
is
old?
his fifth year?
Fifth
So his
year?
fifth year?
Yeah.
One of the youngest linebackers we've ever seen come out.
I'm not hating on him too much. I'm just saying that if Trenton Simpson is already
We're going to find out a lot about Patrick Queen this season.
Yes, exactly.
well said, Josh.
So, and that's Trenton Simpson, I think, for me, because we're not deluding ourselves into the upside of Trenton Simpson.
Yeah.
But there are serious questions about who has this Patrick Queen role.
Yeah.
And a lot of these guys we've talked about tonight, you kind of have to say, this is the dude I'm willing to plant a flag on. Do you want to do Troy Anderson? Here, your 26th ranked linebacker, who we've never really gotten to see do much, right?
Well-
Do you want to are you a Kobe Dean guy, or are you a Devin White guy?
And is this
Trenton Simpson guy?
All have risk.
Is this LB2 role here in Baltimore? You know, Roquan, points per game wise, has taken a little bit of a hit since he came from Chicago. When he was in Chicago, the points per game had to be higher than what they are now.
I feel like it took a hit last season as Kyle Hamilton sort of emerged.
Well, but what I'm saying about Roquan is he becoming more of just like the field general. And, you know, he's getting in on a lot of plays, but not in as many as he used to be. I'm not saying he's a bad linebacker. He's exceptional. He's a really, really good linebacker.
I think
Getting
there's
older,
just-
making business decisions.
But he's
There's
propping up
more tackle competition
He's
now.
propping up the LB2
Yep.
to look really, really good. Trenton Simpson there, Josh, the best ball ADP, LB 27. You in there?
Probably not.
Okay.
I
Who
think
is this?
Trenton Simpson.
27?
Yeah.
LB 27.
It's interesting because, I mean, like, if he gets that role, like, he'll probably produce better than that.
Yeah.
It's just the gamble.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's
It's
like
with all those guys.
you have to gamble on a lot of these guys because you're not getting discounts.
But
Like,
he feels like one of the ones that could be like, and the people who had Trenton Simpson.
But why gamble there when you can get Jordan Hicks,
Yeah.
Kaiser White?
Yeah.
Like, why?
Yeah.
that's the
Demario
thing.
Davis. Like, you can get all those guys after these upsides.
The argument would be it's best ball, and we're
Yeah.
playing for ceiling.
The
But
game.
those guys have great ceilings, too. You know, Demario Davis was awesome last year.
Yeah.
Dude averaged over 14 points per game. Jordan Hicks, like I mentioned, like never been lower than LB 29 in points per game in the last 5 years.
I think it's the unknown of some of these guys.
I think so. It is upside, but also it's like
There's a huge downside as well.
let's get these guys that we know what they are.
Yeah.
Like all these guys have given us like decades of who they are.
I agree with what you're saying
What
about.
are we doing?
I agree with what you're saying about Dallas Cowboys linebacker.
Eric Hendricks?
Yes, but about Demario Davis, there is a lot of competition there now, and there has really only the last couple of years been Pete Werner. But
It's
now
Demario
there's
Davis, though,
Willie
dude.
Gay, Kaliki Hudson.
It's Kaliki Hudson. That's who I'm drafting
There's
the most.
Mario Davis.
There's Jalen Ford.
I think he was a top 5 graded linebacker according to PFF last year.
was
Let's
he
see
really?
where Demario.
was awesome.
Demario's
He was awesome.
LB 41.
And he's been awesome. And again, same thing with like
Hudson LB 70.
people disrespect him. Like he was in that same class with Levante and Bobby Wagner. He's
Still
still
kicking around.
still doing his damn thing.
I do kind of agree with what you're saying. Why take the shot there? Why try to win your league with the LB 27? Why not take your shot with a guy like Isaiah McDuffie, who's way later? EJ
70, I
Speed is
think.
also being drafted super late.
Just don't draft in that little pool right
Yes.
there. You know
That's the LB dead zone.
That's a dangerous. Like it is upside, and
Yeah.
it's like, ooh, this could be nice, but also like it could be
Yeah.
no good.
Yeah.
So get your edge guys there.
Yeah.
Yep.
If there's
DBs are falling at that
right,
point.
if you got Derwin or Brian Branch in that range like that, go that route.
It's
But
the dynasty mind that kind of bleeds in there. You can't not forget about Trenton Simpson. People get a little panicky, you know. They kind of forget that it's redraft and it's just like best ball and it's just for this year. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't get Trenton Simpson on this same BB19 for next year.
yeah.
It's a little.
Everyone wants to be the guy that saw it
Yeah.
coming.
Yeah.
Well, if you hit,
Yeah.
though. If
You're a legend.
Exactly. If you throw the dart on Simpson at LB 27.
And if you don't, no one's really
Yeah.
going to give you a
You're
hard
the
time,
10th
right?
out of
We all
12.
get it.
Yeah.
We saw the upside. We understand the
well,
shot.
it's probably worth mixing in a little bit of exposure to these guys because the builds that are going to win are probably going to have these middle kind of picks that are huge upside smashes.
But it's not. The builds that win are the people that took Khalil Mack last year because everyone was sleeping. Oh, this guy's 32. He's old as hell.
But I'm just saying you hit on that kind of later pick that ends up being top 5 at the position, right?
Sure, yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like, I don't know.
Last year was like Terrell Bernard.
Yes.
That's a great example. Like I think
Yep.
a lot of people are probably that. But also you have to draft good around Terrell Bernard.
Yeah,
Yep.
but I mean, Terrell Bernard was being drafted as what, the LB, last year?
We'd have to go back
Probably
and look.
50.
Yeah, not 27.
Yeah.
You know, not 2 to 3
Right.
rounds higher.
Right. I mean, at that point, it's like there's still way too many good linebackers at this point to be reaching.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the 25th ranked linebacker here, because we mentioned Ivan Pace Jr. on the last episode, second year IDP outlook. But let's give Ivan Pace a little more love, because we mentioned it on that episode. LB1 from the 2023 class, at least in the terms of the eyes of the public, and had a phenomenal rookie season. Finished as LB 45. 14.41 points per game, weeks 10 through 18, 17 games played, 11 started, 102 tackles. But the elephant in the room in Minnesota right now is Blake Cashman. And so I believe you actually have Blake Cashman ranked higher than Ivan Pace. So I think it's looking like to me you're in on Cashman as the LB1 in Minnesota, and this is your team. So I feel like you know them pretty well.
Yes, but I have been rising on Ivan Pace. I've had Blake Cashman up high for quite a while, I guess, since he signed. Actually, last year in Houston, man, the PFF grades were great. I think he finished like a 82 something overall PFF grade. So he was one of the better graded linebackers. And yeah, Blake Cashman returning to Minnesota, where he also played in college. So it's just good vibes all around.
Good vibes.
Love some good vibes.
Not as good as a 32-ounce margarita vibe.
That's true. That
but
is
a
very
very
true.
strong vibe nonetheless.
Nice vibe.
And Cashman was good last year. I remember coming up with the title, oh Lord, for one of the, who's your phone? For one of the preview episodes, it was Blake is straight cash, man. Yeah. So it's like Blake had a nice little run last year. It
He was
wasn't like
awesome.
this dude is purely speculation.
Yeah, you look at the log. The dude had some monster weeks. But we look at the way the year ended for Minnesota. Jordan Hicks and Ivan Pace both were on the field playing. Mm-hmm. So I feel like maybe that's what we see this next year. Maybe we don't see as many 3 safety looks. I think that might have been just like a necessity thing last year. And I think Ivan Pace and Blake Cashman, let those dudes do their thing.
Get your best players on the field.
Blake Cashman a little better in coverage, Ivan Pace a little better at rushing the passer. I think that's a nice tandem. I think both of them could get over 80%. So.
78 pass rush grade for Ivan Pace.
And Ivan
was
Pace,
his best grade.
Like we mentioned, when he was coming out, the dude just knows how to stuff the stat sheet. Mm-hmm. If you look at points per snap last year, which I think is a good way to evaluate him because he didn't get the full snap load, 0.35 on the points per snap, which is a really, really healthy rate for a rookie.
I don't think I've ever heard one that high.
Very, very good for a rookie. So, if Ivan Pace just gets his opportunity, he's the type that produces in bunches. So
that could be a league winner, because you're looking at LB 38 right now.
Both of those guys. I like both those guys ADP. Blake Cashman's not that expensive.
Cashman is LB 31.
That's great. It's going up a little bit.
Yeah, LB 38. So it was, I believe, Pace was the number 1 linebacker.
Yes.
Once Cashman signed, it has since flipped, and now Ivan Pace, LB 38, Cashman, LB 31.
Yes. I like them both, though. Those are solid buys.
I'll be in on the ADP of Pace at LB 38.
I think you pretty much throw out weeks 1 through 9 because the playing time was, not enough to really get a whole lot of data from, but weeks 10 through 18, when it really was a big uptick, all of a sudden he saw 84% of snaps in week 10, then saw 100, basically played a lot down the stretch.
Do you have the log pulled up?
I do.
What's the point log look like for Pace?
So for Pace in week 10, only 5 points, but then 13, 20, 33, 10, 8, 12, and 10 to finish the season.
Pretty solid.
Average 14.41 points per game, weeks 10 through 18. So on a more, solid, regular, 80 to 100% snap ratio. That's not right.
Yeah,
Percentage.
That's a linebacker, too.
Dude, that's a solid number right there.
And getting a full offseason. I think that's a big thing we don't think about is these rookies, it's like whiplash. I mean, coming in, you finish your college season, you start training for the combine, then it's draft prep, then it's, rookie mini camps, then it's OTAs, then it's training. It is such a slog and a sprint at the same time for these rookies that it's kind of a little bit narrative, but like just from a human being level, getting that full offseason with the team, especially if Ivan Pace knows, hey, you and Blake are going to be on the field, pretty much as full-time linebackers.
And he's I think a lot of the stuff to get past with him is he's like an undrafted guy. Right? And so that
stigma is tough to shake.
That's tough, but let's look at some UDFAs.
He signed a little deal.
TJ Edwards.
Frankie Louvu. Aziz Al-Shaair. TJ Edwards. Robert Spillane. Alex Singleton.
A lot of guys that we're
Jack
going to
Sanborn.
talk about or have talked about.
Nate Landman.
Landman?
Some solid guys out there.
Yeah.
So, UDFA, I don't think that shouldn't be the label that it once was.
Yeah, we've seen guys come in and stick around. Should we be a little higher on Peyton Wilson for 2024? Even if it's just as an injury handcuff with Patrick Queen. Because are we? Is it like Landon Roberts? I think is the handcuff you want.
I'm hearing really good stuff about Landon Roberts.
Okay, do share.
Yeah, I mean, the most recent article I read said that it reminded Patrick Queen and Landon Roberts reminded them of Ryan Shazier and Vince Williams.
Wow,
so
that is high praise.
Yeah, and Landon Roberts, man, we've talked about this a lot. I mean, the dude knows how to rack up some tackles, and he keeps just finding a way to be productive for us. So I don't hate that. I mean, I think he could be the linebacker too there. I think Peyton Wilson's probably going to be like a year 2, year 3 guy.
So Peyton Wilson, the market is already all in on Peyton Wilson. Landon Roberts going as LB77 right now. Peyton Wilson going as LB68.
Well,
so
I mean, I'll take both of them. I think
why not?
At that price, like that's fine. Because I mean, if it is like
this will change. I think Peyton Wilson will continue to bump up as we get more and more drafts in the ADP.
I love how Holcomb's just dead now.
Oh yeah,
dead and
no
gone.
One done even.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. There's just certain injuries that I just
That was
can't.
so bad.
I can't give you the benefit of the doubt coming back from.
Because
that was horrific.
I'm struggling with Milano's. Milano's was really bad too.
But he's back. He's wearing a backwards hat.
That's a hot boy look right
Love
there.
that. He's hot anyway.
He is.
Yeah.
He was voted hot.
Right.
On that episode.
The hottest,
I think
the
he
hottest
was.
defensive player, right?
Yeah.
No. It was Tahir Whitehead. And a
yeah.
shocker. I thought for sure it was going to be Matt Milano.
Yeah.
Tahir Whitehead was the winner, though. Not in the league anymore. Matt Milano. Maybe that's why the episode didn't do so well.
Yeah.
Hey, people that listen to that, they
checked
loved
out.
it.
They checked out. All right. Well, there you go, folks. Top 48 Dynasty linebackers, 48 to 25. We'll be back in a few weeks to talk about the top 24.
Anyone we didn't mention? We should have.
I mean,
A lot of them.
there's a lot of guys,
Terrible list.
looking.
I agree.
Look, again, this is, you've already updated it since then because you're a monster.
Leo Chenal.
Yeah, he was one that just missed the cut.
I think the update will probably have Leo Chenal in just because I'm excited about Leo Chenal eventually. Like if he gets out of Kansas City, he's probably going to go nuts. The guy grades very well.
If he had never climbed the bus.
Still in on him. The guy crushes it from a metric standpoint. Like points per snap's really good. PFF's always been really good. So I mean, yeah, I like Leo Chenal a lot. I think that his next stop could be really good. Even if it clears out there in Kansas City, it could be really good there in Kansas City potentially. If Nick Bolton ends up moving on, which I don't know that they'll be able to pay him. I don't think they will.
It's going to be interesting to see who they prioritize because Mahomes is going to be due a new contract at some point.
I mean, they're going to look at the roster and say, well, we have Drew Tranquil locked up, and we have Leo Chenal on the last year of his deal. Do we need to spend a ton of money on Nick Bolton?
It'll just depend on. I think this season will be
right. It's big. It's contract year.
Yeah, contract year. We always talk about contract year glow up.
Another guy that I'm pretty excited about that I've been adding in a lot of my dynasty leagues, Tommy Eichenberg.
I was gonna say you had him at LB50 at least in the notes.
Yeah, he'll probably be ahead of that. I just think he's in a great spot. I mean, Divine Diablo, someone that like I think he is what he is because he's got a really cool name.
Double D.
But Robert Spillane, he's got 1 year left on his deal. So, I mean, there could be a chance that maybe he outprices himself there and goes and finds a new deal. I mean, he's played really, really well. He's definitely outperformed the deal that they paid him.
I think he'll go get a deal somewhere else.
Maybe so.
I don't think LA or Las Vegas is going to want to pay.
They'll have to pay him pretty substantially, I think. So, I mean, there's a shot where we could look up in Tommy Eichenberger's like LB1 next year. So he's someone that I'm excited about.
At least a nice little stash.
I think so.
Nice little stash. A little wait and see, kind of find out. But I'm excited to dive into the top 24 because I think
a lot more sexier.
A lot sexier, but also sort of the tiers, the way they kind of break out, it's like LB kind of drops off a little bit. It doesn't have the solid kind of like second and third tier that I felt like the edge rushers did.
Yeah.
Like the edge rushers, I felt like kind of dropped off after like 15 or 16.
Yeah.
Like after that like block of rookies that you have in there from this year's group. And the linebackers, it gets a little dicey about LB7. Not saying it's bad. It's just like, wow, that guy is actually LB6, LB7.
LB4, man. Honestly, that's when like the risk starts coming into play, and it's like there's just no one that I want to spend up to get.
Yep.
Outside of Foye, Fred, and Roquan. I know what those guys are.
Get those three or just punt it into the sun and grab the guys in the 40s.
We'll just farm, right? We'll get the guys off waivers. Listen to the show. Tap in with us. We'll take care of you at linebacker. You don't got to be an idiot.
Don't be an idiot. That's our biggest piece of advice over the last 400 episodes.
You don't. So many people are idiots. So many people are idiots about linebackers. Stop.
Don't do it. Well, and make sure you're scoring linebackers appropriately. Make sure that the top 23 of the top 24 scorers in your league aren't linebackers.
Yeah, come on, people. That's not the way the NFL is anymore. Let's get with it. We got the resources out there for you to get your leagues up to speed. Big Three Scoring.
TheIDPshow.com.
Yeah.
Check it out. It's on the right-hand side, one of our most popular articles.
It's good. I don't get out here and promote the hell out of it. If you find it, you'll figure it out, and you'll see that it's good.
Yeah. It's good, folks.
It's good.
It's good.
Like
just
everything
like
else
that
we
mark.
do. Like everything else we do, and especially like this mark.
Is that mark gone?
It is.
We need to get the hell out of here then. Thank you all for listening to this episode 400. We appreciate everyone's support. Boys, we're like almost about a month shy of our 5-year anniversary. So
pretty wild.
Pretty special stretch here coming up for the show.
Pretty awesome.
We're going to have some awesome episodes lined up for you all. So I know it's June and it may feel like the dead period on the NFL calendar, but it is not the dead period here in the Sode Shack. So make sure you're locked in with us, theidpshow.com. Follow us on YouTube. It's popping over there as well, youtube.com/@theidpshow. Make sure you're subscribed to the IDP After Show as well. And yeah, we've got a lot of cool stuff coming y'all's way. So for Adam and Bobby and everyone who helped make 400 episodes possible, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next week.
It's the IDP show, now you know.